This is Golban Moltaji from CHO 98.1 FM. You're going to listen to my interview with Omar Saghir, a spoken word and hip-hop artist based in Ottawa. This interview was done in light of his EP album, Refugee, which he'll be launching next Friday, February the 10th, at a hip-hop show hosted by us, Ontario Public Interest Research Group, at Cafe Nostalgica. He is one of those artists that exemplifies celebrating culture and freedom and resisting oppression through artistic expression. Specifically, through rapping and hip-hop that is inseparable from resistance movements all around the world. He was born on October 16, 1987 in Beirut, Lebanon, to a Palestinian father from the countryside of Safad and a Lebanese mother from the city of Beirut. Omar used to write poems during his high school years, but he really gets started into writing rap lyrics since 2010. His writing consists of a wide spectrum of topics. He speaks to social issues, political issues, heritage, and spirituality. He discusses important topics that he has been through and has personally witnessed. He is an active slam poet and open mic artist, and his goal is to be the first Palestinian artist to break into the hip-hop industry.
Hey,
how's it going?
Good.
Welcome to Opera Office. I just want to get right into your new EP album, Refugee.
Sure.
You're going to perform next Friday. Tell me about this album. Tell me about how it developed, where the idea comes from, and how long you've been working on it.
This album came into fruition last year, actually. I had this album in mind for the last couple of years because I started writing since 2010. I had to quit my job just to focus on this project 100%. There's 4 songs and 2 spoken word pieces. Well, the music video and the 2 cinepoems. But so far I managed to put up 1 song, 1 single called Terror, and I managed to distribute that in iTunes, Spotify, Amazon.
They informed your children about. I'm a dark night that overshadows all your doubts. An operatic hellspawn, white mothers want to shout. You're a calamity that was to bring down a house. I'm the love child of your paranoia and anxiety. I'm the sole survivor of your secret society. A heavy burden that you painted me to be. Steadily, permanently, you tainted me to believe.
I got involved in the spoken word scene around 2011 after taking a few workshops. And from there, that's when I improved my writing, and I took like all the workshops and I got into the poetry scene by doing open mics and slamming. I started to write more political stuff. I actually even recorded some mixtapes, considering the fact that I was still developing just the techniques of the rapping and all that. But I was good with writing. Like, I had one producer tell me, you have to rap with the beat, you have to work on certain techniques. Instead of rapping with just the bass of the music, you have to rap with the snare. And then from there, I started to practice every day, every night. With whatever poetry I have written, I would like modify it to a certain music or a certain beat. So it was all self-taught with a couple of tips here and there.
Tell me about the lyrics. Tell me where they came from, where you started writing those.
I grew up like almost a decade in Lebanon, like in the South Lebanon, where like in refugee camps. I was living in the middle of my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, and everybody like there, and we wouldn't get like electricity or power or clean water, and we lived in poverty there for like 9 years. So I know what it's like there, the environment and the whole, just the vibe and just everything about it and the people. So for me, that's what inspired me to do this album. Around 2013, started to add like layers to it, and said, you know what, I'm just gonna make this project entirely, completely political. And it started with one song called Riot. So it's all about just being a riot, a protest, and having that revolution sound. So I said, you know what, I'm just gonna go full on to talk about my dad's history, my family's history, where we're from, our ethnicity, like my ethnicity, my roots. I think just to embrace my roots. I don't think anybody has done that here in Ottawa. So I think that's something different because I felt like it fit with the whole Palestinian background, refugee camps. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna call this project Refugee because that's who I am and that's what I feel like right now.
The important thing to me when I listen to your song Terror, or when I listen to the previews is that it is far from generic portrayal of Canada about refugees. The fact that it is just us being kind to people who've been misplaced, whereas I think you're more speaking to the fact that let's acknowledge how responsible the West is for all of what is happening, and the fact that if people are moving from a certain place to another, it's not just us being very benevolent, it's what is happening in the world, and these are the realities about this lifestyle.
Like for me, in my opinion, I see a lot of Middle Eastern poets here and rappers. They don't even tap into that as much. They don't have a whole project talk about Middle Eastern culture or the ethnicity. The first producer I worked with, he samples music, the independent underground sampler. Nobody knew of him. He came from Edmonton. He was only here for like a few years, but he did like help me in regards to like practice and go back home and write to the beat and stuff like that. I would provide him with Middle Eastern songs, like just old school golden age music that I used to listen to as a kid. Yeah, like with pop songs, and he would like sample them. For me, he told me like that's something unique, like nobody has done that in Ottawa at least. So my vision was to have this album be inspired by like the Middle Eastern vibe in the music. So
mind you, there are some big rappers out there that they use Iranian pop songs that I knew from when I was a kid, and nobody knows that is what they have sampled because they're rapping English. Right?
Yeah. In my opinion, I don't think anything's original. If you want to talk about originality, if you want to talk about like what sets me apart from any other rappers, that I'm the only Middle Eastern rapper that talks about the issues of actually being in a refugee camp and coming to a Western society and experiencing subtle discrimination through unemployment, through underemployment, through just being stuck to the welfare system because, that's what they want you to do. Is to come here and study and spend money and for post-secondary education, and then they stick us in welfare. They don't want us to be like successful businessmen or entrepreneurs. They just want to develop a sense of laziness in you. They don't want you to be ambitious.
There's nothing wrong with wanting more than average and you're wanting more than just paying your bills, I guess, making ends meet, right?
And for the record, like I experienced unemployment for one whole year, and I've been underemployed several times. I mean, underemployed, not employed, but underemployed. I haven't been employed based on what I've studied. So just to clarify that to anybody who's been saying, "Oh, come on, you're in Canada, so you should be thankful and grateful." I know people are gonna be like, "Oh, you're bitter and you have a chip on your shoulder," but honestly, like this is how it is, man. I've been working hard for the past 5 years. And
then that bitterness. I mean, what is wrong with not being pop artists? What is wrong with tapping into the dark side and illustrating on what is going on and things that people might be uncomfortable with?
It's the reality. It's not me being negative. It's just me just reflecting the reality of stuff. Just on a side note, I'd like to say that I've always wrote poetry that was a bit controversial. I don't think people kind of felt what I was saying sometimes, and it was a little in your face, and I felt like this project had to kind of encapsulate the political side of it.
You were born in Lebanon, but you identify as a Palestinian.
Yes.
Why is that? How is that?
Well,
what is the Palestinian in you?
Well, with Middle Eastern families, with Arab families, is that you take after the father. You take the father's name, you take his roots. And for me, I consider myself mixed. I'm not going to say I'm a full-blown Palestinian, because that would be kind of disrespectful to my mom. And I know the best of both worlds.
You mentioned the Middle Eastern snares and
yeah.
And you have Arabic subtitles on your videos now.
Yes, exactly. That's the plan for my family. My siblings and my aunts, my uncles that are abroad. They know English, but their English is not that like my lyrics are. They're complicated as it is, and they're very multi-layered. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna have to like translate this just to make it more, just so it can reach the audience that's
Yeah, it's
over
gonna
there.
be accessible for your family.
It's like yeah, and my family, my friends there.
Yeah, so and you know it's gonna go wider than
Yeah.
it's gonna speak to the whole Arab world.
I even like I am so like I developed the skill of rapping that I can even rap Arabic. Yeah, like I even like wrote a verse, I think, my next project.
That would be an amazing mix, you know.
I took the thing is I took poetry back home. Like I took like they used to teach us Arabic there, the language, the grammar, and even poetry there. I took it around 2006, 2005. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think the Arabian language is more sophisticated because you can say a lot more with a lot less. You know.
Yes.
Like, there's a lot of words that mean multiple meanings based on how in
How
what
you
sentence
put it,
and
yes.
how you say it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, we have Arabic courses in
We
high
have-
school
yeah,
in
exactly.
Iran and loved it. And I loved reading Quran, not because of religious reasons, because it's a great artwork.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So yeah, tell me if you ever struggled with making that resonate in your English. Capacity of English as a contemporary language that you struggled with the language, but if language provides you with enough to say what you want to say.
I took a lot of vocab like back at home.
Uh-huh.
You know, dictionary words. I implement that in my poetry. My vocabulary is very wide.
Right.
That's all. Like if you wanna describe me and see what my artwork is, I have a large vocabulary. I don't think anybody can do what I do. I only attract complex people, complex minds.
So you're proud of that.
Oh yeah, very. I think I earned it.
Tell me about the future of Omar as a rapper.
Honestly, I already have my second and third project written. It all depends on this EP. It's more like a test drive or more like an experiment, stepping stone for another project that I have. I managed to make a compilation of poetry over the years, like a book. I haven't published it yet, and I currently am working on a novel. Either way, in the next 5 years, I think I don't want to predict things, but I'm just saying for now, I just want to focus on now.
Okay. Well, do you have anything to add?
Shout out to Kudus, Gordon, Chaz, Hunter, LaRoche. They're the team that I'm working with right now. They're my producers. Shout out to them. And shout out to the other producers too, even though they didn't continue with me. But they kind of constructed the bare bones of this project and kind of gave me some sort of inspiration. Come to the show because this is like my first ever rap set and poetry set. It's my first ever feature.
Performing them live for the first time. And we also have 3 members of Missing Links come and perform.
Yeah. They're doing individual sets.
Yeah. And I'll be dropping beats in the background. I'll be playing music for Omar.
Yeah. Come to the show. If you're like into that political stuff, considering all things that's going on in politics nowadays, just come by, just have a good listen. You know, listen to what we have to say.
We always portrayed as a villain, I'm a refugee. Islamophobes drawn to hate, I'm a refugee. The perfect pitch to ignorance, I'm a refugee. Bombarded fat ladies to sing, I'm a refugee.
This was me, Golban Montaji of CHUO 98.1 FM with Omar Saghir. Do not forget to drop by at Cafe Nostalgica Friday, February the 10th. Omar will be launching his EP album Refugee alongside High Fedelic, Proof Rock, and Canon, who will do individual sets for the show. Friday, February 10th, Opera Hip Hop Show. See y'all there at Cafe Nostalgica.